Hey, today, this is a little bit about the whole Ray Rice ban on for 2 games of the NFL season, and I wanted to speak a little bit on Stephen A. Smith. First and foremost, I'm against a man putting his hands on a woman in an effort to harm, abuse her, or keep her down. I want to say that off the break. I want to say it off the top so there's no misunderstanding here. From what I read, I have not seen the videos yet, but from what I read via Twitter and a few other people forwarded me over the information, Stephen A. Smith introduced the idea that no one finds popular, which is at some point in time, women can put themselves in a situation where they can get hit. Again, I don't believe that it's right, but I'll offer you a scenario. Say, for example, you were in a closet, because that's with the Ray Rice situation. He was in the elevator that was going up or down, wherever way it was going. So you're in the closet, and the woman is in front of the door, meaning that you can't get out. And the room is 6 by 9, so let's just say enough for 2 people to stand in comfortably, and she starts hitting you and starts, really beating on you. What do you do? Again, I'm not saying beat her down, I'm not saying knock her out, I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is, shouldn't you be able to grab her by her arms or wrap her up so she wouldn't be hitting you? Defending yourself in a sense, because here's the situation that a lot of people put themselves in, where on one hand they'll call him a punk and say, oh, you let this woman beat you down, and there'll be women that say that as well, but then if he defends himself by grabbing her aggressively, trying to stop her from hitting him, then that's domestic violence. And I think what Stephen A. Smith was saying was that there's some women, and any man that's been in a relationship with a woman long term understands this. When a woman is in your face, putting her hands in your face, yelling at you like you're some child, and berating you and belittling you, whether that's verbally, emotionally, or even physically, we're all human, and we all have a breaking point. We all have a point where we're just like, you know what, that's enough. Again, it's not right, but how long do you let a person hit you and beat on you until it's enough? Is it when she goes and gets the gun? Is it when she gets the knife? When she gets the frying pan? What is it? Now, if you're sitting there on a couch or on a chair or in a bed and she's talking to you and this is going on, and she leaves the room and goes, or she comes in the room with the frying pan or whatever, and she starts beating on you, then what? Then what happens? And that's what he was talking about. He was talking about women putting themselves in a position where something like that happens. Mind you, none of us were in that elevator with Ray Rice and his wife, or fiance at the time. She could have been welling on that guy in a moving elevator, and he can't walk out of the room. He just defends himself. Maybe he was a little bit too rough. We don't know. We weren't there. But I do know that from the things that I read about it, she was charged with assault as well. So by her being charged with assault, that would say something happened in that. And again, that's probably what he was hinting at, which is, wow, no man wants to put his hands on a woman, and no man wants to have his family members with hands put on them. Let's put it in a little bit of perspective. If she was beating on him and he pushed her up against the wall of the elevator to say, calm down, she hit her head and passed out. That sounds pretty reasonable. So I'm going to end it with saying that with all that hoopla going on, a lot of people are mad because he only got a 2-game suspension. Since when is it right that your job, what happens in your household, your personal household, between you and your significant other, affects your work? it seems that there's an unfair double standard when it comes to celebrity, and celebrities' point of allowing what happens in their personal life to affect their job. So by that same token, if you beat on your wife or your significant other and it gets back to the job, you get a police summons and everything, if I'm your boss, I should be able to fire you, right? I should be able to suspend you for 2 weeks without pay, or 2 pay periods without paying you, right? Because that's the same standards you're holding some of these other people for. I mean, if the law is handling it and it's not a football related incident or a music related incident or basketball related incident, the NBA and all that should not be held to this high standard of punishing them. I understand it is a morality thing, but think about yourself. If you were drunk driving, I should be able to fire you, right? Because it's morality. I don't want someone representing my company that got a drunk driver. That's a drunk driver. Think about it logically. Be open and be mindful of things like that, because then again, you never know. So don't try to hold someone to a standard that you're not going to meet yourself, that you're going to try to squirm and wiggle your way out of. Be fair about that. And I think that's the provocation he was talking about. It's the same thing with Mike Vick. Oh, you can't play football because you were attached to this dogfighting thing. What does it have to do with football? Oh, if he didn't have the football money, then he wouldn't have done it. There are poor people in the hood right now that all they have is the pit bull, and the way they get money is walking that pit bull around neighborhoods and fighting. So what are you saying? Really? Let's be quite honest with it. There are people who didn't want Plexico Burress back in the NFL after he shot himself. No one else was injured. Oh, well, someone else could have been injured. They could have, but they weren't. So he played football because he shot himself? I don't understand. It just sounds like a double standard that's wild and crazy. And if it was you that was out there trying to feed your family and put your best effort forward, you would have every excuse in the world as to why you should be allowed to come back to work. So think about that. It's the same thing with Chris Brown and R. Kelly. When everyone says, oh, we're not going to play their music because of this personal thing that they did. I'm not saying either of those incidents. If they were proven guilty, they're guilty. But what does it have to do with their job? Oh, if they didn't have the money, this wouldn't have happened. There are poor people that get beat on every day. Every day. There's a dude that works at McDonald's that's pissed off about working at McDonald's, and he come home to find his wife banging the drug dealer, and he come home and weigh it out. So he shouldn't be able to flip burgers no more. Not support himself because he wore her out. That's a personal matter. That's outside of it. If the law punishes them, let that happen. Let that punishment be there. We're supposed to be the land of second chances, and nobody wants to give a second chance because everybody here is armchair quarterbacks, and we're supposed to be able to condemn everybody even after they were condemned already. Who the hell appointed you to judge, jury, and executioner? Same thing with our character. Condone abusing children. I don't condone that. But if the court of law didn't find him guilty, who are you to find him guilty? And who are you to take away his ability to make money to feed his family? Because him abusing kids, there are priests who make $1,300 a year who abuse kids. There are parents who abuse their kids sexually. So there are probably a bunch of them in your neighborhood. If you go on the site and look at child predator sites and everything, there are probably a bunch in your neighborhood. So they can't live because they can't work because they made a mistake. Again, I'm not advocating a mistake. I'm advocating looking at it from an open perspective and saying, hey, we make mistakes. We're land of second chances. let's do it. And your mistake doesn't affect your ability to make money for yourself and feed yourself. Because guess what? If they don't make money and they don't feed themselves and their family, you're going to pay for them. Tax dollars at work. Don't forget that. Yo, this is the Dude Advisor, just sharing some thoughts.